Welcome to the newsroom. I'm James Murray. I'm joined today by Mayor Hobbs, and welcome.
It's nice to be here again, James. It's been a while.
This is your first trip into our, what I'll call Politics 2.0, where we move past the soundbite and let the full story come out. Now, you've just spent a week in Sault Ste. Marie.
Actually, just a couple days. We had our NOLUM meeting, which we do about 3 times a year. And it was in Sault Ste. Marie. NOLUM stands for Northern Ontario Large Urban Mayors. And we're a group of 5 mayors: Timmins, Sault Ste. Marie, Sudbury, North Bay, and Thunder Bay. And we talk about issues that are relevant to all our communities, and there are lots.
So what was discussed at the meeting? What do our viewers need to know?
Well, we had a presentation from FedNor Amy DiMatteo and on the Northern Growth Plan for the feds. Not the provincial one that we're still waiting for, but the federal one. And it looks pretty good. Again, the provincial one looked good too, but we didn't see too much action. Most of the mayors agreed that there needs to be more action on that provincial growth plan. But we had a great presentation, similar to the one that was at Lakehead University with Minister Baines. And the biggest thing I think that came out of that with all the mayors was immigration and how we need to really work on that portfolio. If you look at the, and I always said, well, we have a labor force and it's Indigenous and it's in the north. It's not going to be enough, even within Indigenous labor force, of all the kids that are coming out of northern communities and getting trained and educated in schools in Thunder Bay and elsewhere. Not going to be near enough. We have such a senior population now. We have to replace that workforce, and we won't be able to do it with just Indigenous and non-Indigenous. We need to really work on the immigration piece. So Nova Scotia just got a federal program on immigration, and we're going to be asking the feds for that same program or similar.
Now, the Ring of Fire at the meeting, what was talked about there?
Well, basically, we're all in the hunt, or all of us except North Bay are in the hunt for the ferrochrome processor from Noront. So it's a friendly rivalry, but it's a serious rivalry at the same time. We all have our pluses and minuses. We didn't talk too much about it. Everybody held their cards kind of close to their chest on what we're presenting, but we're all of the mindset that what's good for the north is good for Thunder Bay. What's good for Thunder Bay is good for the north. That goes for all the communities. If the Ring of Fire gets going, I think we're all going to benefit. We did have the chief of Batchewana Bay, the chief of Garden River, Deputy Grand Chief of Nan, Jason Smallboy, at our meeting. That was a first for us, and it was great to see, and we committed to working together on issues. So that was a real positive that came out of that meeting.
Now, here in Thunder Bay on the Indigenous portfolio, there's a lot of work been done.
Yes.
The Fort William First Nation flag is now flying at City Hall. There's been joint meetings. What other things are being done, and what could be done to improve the relationships?
Well, I think there's a tax issue that we have to resolve. Chief Collins says that he doesn't want to pay taxes to the city of Thunder Bay on his lands, and I think that every councillor that I've spoken to believes in that in principle, but we have a municipal act that dictates to us what we have to do. We have to collect taxes. We have no choice on it, so those issues have to be resolved at higher levels of government. We have a project right now with the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, City of Thunder Bay, Fort William First Nation for economic development. Our community economic development officers are working on that with members of our council and Fort William First Nation. So that's a real good project. The bridge is always an issue. We're trying to resolve that. Chief Collins has been in talks with CN. Unfortunately, CN won't talk with us. We're right in the middle of litigation, and we're hoping to get an answer from the Ontario Court of Appeal on that soon. But that bridge is a big link, not only for recreation and culture, but it's for economic development as well. And FCM, Federation of Canadian Municipalities, recognize is that bridge is a link, and it will help with our economic development. The Ring of Fire, or the Noront Resources Project, we're partners with Fort William First Nation on that.
Okay.
And I think that's a huge thing. We've also built up a great rapport with Matawa Nation First Nation, or Matawa Tribal Council, I should say. us gifting that Grandview Lodge to them for a youth center, residence, wellness center. Those kinds of things go a long way, and it's not just, like the flag flying at Fort William First Nation is a symbolic gesture by us, but we have to go further than that. We have to put some skin in the game, and we did with that building, and I think that's going to be a great thing for youth safety, and it shows, I think, First Nations that we're serious about this relationship. It's not just words.
So with the city of Thunder Bay, it's a constant issue. I mean, we've got, luckily we've had a better last several months. We haven't had the incidents with kids into the river. The Thunder Bay police are out saying how many people they're saving from going in the river, and so are, the Bear Clan Patrol. And there's the Lynx Clan Patrol, which is getting going on the north side of the city and is going to be reaching out. There's a lot of education as well that needs to happen. And what can the city do in those areas?
Well, I think the inquest was big for the city. The recommendations that came out of that, we're working hard on those. We promised to implement every recommendation, and we were just at OGRA in Toronto in February talking to ministers. We meet frequently with Minister Zimmer, not so much with the federal counterparts, but we will be meeting with them as well. We're looking at safety on our waterways, cameras, all kinds of surveillance, and patrols, like the citizens patrols, I think are huge. I said that a long time ago, that we need to get citizen patrols in place, and those are getting into place now. I worry because, yes, we haven't had any deaths, but it's winter and freeze up once the rivers thaw, and we have flowing water there. We have a lot of sleepless nights as a mayor and politicians because we don't want another death. 9 is enough. Not that we had 9 on the waterways, but if you take the 7 from the inquest, and then we had Josiah Begg and Tammy Kiash from North Caribou Lake, we don't need any more children dying in our city, whether they're Indigenous or non-Indigenous. So those kinds of initiatives, and Karen Lewis, our Director of Corporate Communications, is the go-to person on that file.
Okay.
She's working hard on it. We get updates regularly. And just, I think, signing our declaration of commitment with North Caribou Lake was huge.
Yes.
It's similar to our Sister Cities program, where we meet with different country. We're meeting with different countries. Well, we're meeting with our neighbors in the north, and I think that's so huge, and getting to know them, getting to know what the issues are, so that when they come to Thunder Bay, we're prepared to help them.
It's one that a lot of people probably in the city don't fully understand. You'll hear a lot of times that we're all treaty people, and in Canada we go civic government, provincial government, federal government, the Governor General, who's the official head of state, but in all of that, treaty trumps charter.
Yeah, and we talked about that at our NOLUM meeting. We had the 3 chiefs that were with us, and we talked about the curriculum in the schools. That really needs to be beefed up, and I never learned about treaties till I became mayor. That's too long to go in your lifetime to learn about those things. So we talked about we need to help First Nations lobby federal and provincial governments to get this curriculum in the schools, because a lot of it is I think racism stems from ignorance and lack of knowledge, lack of education, and when people get educated as to what's happened with Indigenous people, in the history of Canada and North America, they would have a better understanding, and maybe we'll diminish some of that racism.
It's an issue that seems to plague Thunder Bay, and other cities, as you've reported, many times. But it seems sometimes in Thunder Bay it hits close to home because of the size of our city. The racism issues that happen are known across the city almost instantly.
Well, with social media too, you get instant reporting. When there's a racial issue or there's an assault that's hate motivated, anything like that, it's automatic. It's right now in your face. So, and again, a lot of that stems from just plain ignorance. We're all people. We all bleed red, and when we get along together, it's going to be so great, and that day will come. We're working hard on it as a city. We have a lot more to go, but it's up to the citizens of Thunder Bay to make this happen. The mayor can't make it happen. You can espouse it all you want. We held a media conference denouncing racism with all the chiefs at City Hall. We fly the flag of First Nation at City Hall on a permanent basis. That doesn't cut it. That doesn't eliminate racism. So there's a lot more other initiatives to do. But it's up to the people of Thunder Bay to just put their hate aside and put their ignorance aside and get on with it. I've been told I'm not going to be elected mayor again. I mean, I have some issues going on that may not get me elected, but this Indigenous one, I've had threats from people. If I knew you were such an Indian lover, I would have never voted for you in the first place. And it's just about everyone should be welcome and inclusive in the city, and that was our strategic plan for 2014, 2018, and I don't apologize for trying to make this an all-inclusive city. Never will.
Heading forward into heading to summer. Well, it's April the 15th, and we've got a winter storm warning for a serious major winter storm. So I don't know if summer's coming yet, but heading into the summer season and then into the fall, we've got people already gunning for your job.
There's lots, apparently.
Yes, it's going to be a full slate. But what do you see as the last stages of this term as mayor of Thunder Bay? What are your goals?
Well, I'd really like to see the issues with Fort William First Nation put to rest for sure. We've done a lot in planning, like we have a transit master plan, and we've received some good money from the feds and the province in regards to that, so we're really doing a lot of upgrades in that. We have our official plan that we're hoping to finalize. That's on land use planning and things like that, so that's been a long time in the making. Still working on Costco 7 years in a row. So far, they've told me they want to be here. They're going to be here. They're looking for 15 acres of land. So if anybody out there has 15 acres of land, we'll get a Costco. So there's that in the works. We just toured the SR Center. At least our city manager did. I think we shot high with the convention and event center, but we've always said we need to replace the gardens. I drive by there, it's a dump, and we can't get any acts or anything there. And I think the majority of people want a new facility. Look, I was looking at Humboldt, Saskatchewan, God rest them, and their rink was beautiful. Why can't we have that in Thunder Bay? It's because the vocal minority get out there and slam everything we try and do that's good, and I maintain that. I don't apologize for saying that. And talking to the other mayors in Sudbury, Sault Ste. Marie, Timmins, North Bay, they have the same issues. They dread looking at social media. They dread the comments about their roads. They told me our roads are golden in Thunder Bay compared to theirs, but that was the most thing that came out the most was the negativity from people. Don't tell us that you don't want it or it can't be done. Tell us how it can be done, and that's my mantra. Don't tell me we can't do something. Tell me how we can do it. We'll do it together. It
was interesting. A few weeks ago, we attended a workshop run by the Lynx Clan Patrol on kindness training, and the facilitator talked about stress book being Facebook. And often since then, I've often looked at it and I thought, people probably scroll Facebook on their phone at least a roll of toilet paper a day, and probably have the same amount of product that they see on their Facebook from that. And so what I think sometimes is, instead of just complaining on Facebook, get off Facebook and let's go do more with the city.
I mean, my wife and I have seen it more than anybody with, what happened to us. We did a kindness for 2 people and it turned sour for us, but we're going to be okay. I know we're going to be okay. I maintain that. We told the truth. We ended up getting charged, but we did a kindness for people and we're never going to change. That's who we are. We're good people, and the crap that's on social media is it's horrific. People just need to put that stuff aside and find the kind part of their soul and project that instead of all the hate and nastiness. It's horrible. Sometimes I'm ashamed to be the mayor of Thunder Bay, and it's not just Thunder Bay. All the mayors spoke about it. The hate and nastiness out there is just, what is this world coming to? So I'm going to plead to the people of Thunder Bay to, we're called a city with a giant heart. Start proving it.
And Mayor Hobbs, I think that's a great place to leave it. So let's go prove it, Thunder Bay. I thank you for coming in.
My pleasure, James, always.
Thank you. This is Politics 2.0, where we move past the sound bite. I'm James with NetNewsledger. Thanks for tuning in.